Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. This is me, your host, Preacher Moss, and you are partaking of the ShOUT show here in the United States of America. One of the most, I want to say, one of the most difficult and tricky times that we've ever faced, at least in my lifetime. I can't volunteer, I can't speak for other people. We find ourselves in a space where the dynamic of the paradigm has changed, whereby the children, the seeds, if you will, the seeds that have been planted in terms of racial oppression, all of they have manifested themselves on both sides, one on the oppressor side and one on the oppressed side. It is interesting because I find more and more and more that the aspect of people standing up for oppression is interesting because they weren't there before. It cannot be said that some of these people are not genuine, some of these people are not honest, some people are not inspired, but I think there's something or a situation that we need to be able to discuss freely. And in some regard, I don't think we have discussed that. Here in America, you have a situation, a scenario where all of a sudden being sympathetic to Black suffering is an in thing. It is a thing that purges you, for some regards, of your own shortcomings or some of your own racial feelings because it's now safe. It's safe to stand with these people. It's safe to, it's almost like people have waited. I fashion it almost something akin to, let me talk about Black existence, because I keep hearing this thing about Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. Listen, Black Lives matter, but here's the deal. Don't holler Black Lives Matter if you don't love Black people. Does Black love exist? Black love matters. Black love grows. Black love protects us. Black love evolves us. If you're not going to speak about those things, I would suggest that you be quiet. Start thinking about hashtags and how you represent things in your likes. To the protesters here, if you're going to protest, don't stop in front of a building, a burning building, to take a selfie. That tells me that you're not about the cause. The problem with the black man in America is this fact, and then a very intuitive fact, is that we've put ourselves in a situation whereby we have for many years trusted a system that we knew was going to fail us. We just hoped that we could get the best out of a failing system. And at this point in time, George Floyd reminds us, he reminds us of our choices, but he also reminds us that there's a difference, that there's a different way to respond to things. I have earlier talked about the fact that the Black community in and of itself at some point in time is going to seriously have to look and develop and invest in their own emotional intelligence to find themselves. Do we need this relationship with America because it's a toxic relationship? Do we need to separate? I say this, if you don't want to be sick, you don't hang out with sick people. If you don't want to be in a drunk driving accident, don't hang out with people who drink. You don't go to a hospital to get well. You go to hospital to work. You know why? To get well, it's hard because there's sick people in the hospital. I have spent time and time again discussing this issue. And now I'm concerned because now there are these edicts that are coming up, these strategies about how to support Black people. I love my Muslim community, but I'm going to tell you something. You're sending out playbooks, strategies on how to support Black people. It's disingenuous. It's degrading. Let me tell you what it's like. I'm going to tell you what being Black is like, and being this situation where people come up with situations of how to strategically support Black people. Black existence is like being in a burning house, like Malcolm X said. Being in a house that's going to explode. It's burning. It's burning. It's burning. Every time you turn around, there's something hot in the house. There's some kind of weird consumption in the house. You touch a doorknob, it burns your hand. You're traumatized. Finally, the intellect says we've had enough of this house, and we run out of the house. But when we run out of the house, we get to a place that's safe. We look up, and there's more people than we've ever seen before, people that we don't know. And they're talking about, yeah, I'm with you now out of the house. No, if you were with me, you would have come in the house and got me. This is the foolishness. It comes to the topic of what I'm talking about today, and that is Muslims in blackface. And some of you don't know what I'm talking about. Well, I'm going to show you something. It's just a little something, folks, but I think you need to be aware of it. I'm going to share it with you. This is what blackface looked like. Now, I want you to put yourself in the position of being a young black child today. And this is the representation of black people.
And chest paper.
Man, I'm hungry. I want something to eat. That's all you talk about is something to eat. Well, that's all I do is talk about it. I don't ever get nothing. When I left my good job on that ministry show, what did you tell me? What I done told you? You said, come on, go with me, boy. We gonna have fancy drink, horse's neck, pussycat's tail, gin frugal. I ain't drink nothing but water. Drink so much water, my stomach think I'm taking and washing. I'm hungry. Didn't I tell you I'd stick with you through thick and thin? Yeah, the longer you stick, the thinner I get. I'll be so thin after a while, it'll take 9 pussycats to catch a rat in the bosom of my britches. I'm hungry. My stomach hurts.
I know a man would give $1 million for that stomach.
Well, he can have it for a dime. I ain't using it. My stomach hurt me, man.
I know what's the matter with you.
What?
You got a tapeworm.
Got what?
A tapeworm.
I had one, but he starved to death.
I took out your chicken dinner last night, didn't I?
Yeah.
You insulted me too, didn't you?
Insulted you how?
Oh, the lady brought the chicken in and laid it on the table. Walked.
Now, if that disturbed you, it should disturb you. Let me give you the history of blackface. As a comedian, the history of blackface goes to the fact that people did not want black folk to express themselves, their happiness, or their lifestyle without their permission. This representation of the two men in the front are white men with black cork on their faces. White men with black cork on their faces who felt that they could articulate the black experience, but they could only articulate it to a white audience. What am I saying here? It means that they have inappropriately appropriated black life for the fact of they could denigrate it in front of white audiences. If you look at that videotape, there are black musicians on the stage who can't speak. All they can do is play instruments. This was the existence of black entertainment. We're talking about cultural epicenter here in the United States. And these white men made plenty of money playing in blackface. The last blackface comedian was a man named Dewey Pigmeat Markham. And what's interesting was Dewey Pigmeat Markham was black. Because yes, brothers and sisters, after the white people got tired of looking at white folk in blackface, they made black people put on blackface and entertain them. And the energy here is that they find a weird entertainment piece. They find a weird enjoyment watching people denigrate themselves for their entertainment. Let's go back to that house where everybody ran out of. Black people ran out and then everybody else ran out with them and said, we with you. How are you with me? What makes you think that I believe that you're with me? You saw the house burning. You didn't knock on the door to see if we all right. You didn't run in and say, hey, we're the women and children. You didn't even pour water on the house. It's a crapshoot. You were happy that we got out. And once we got out, you want to change the narrative that we're all with you. You're not with us. Now, this isn't applicable to all Muslims, but let me tell you something. Real talk, I'm going to give you the facts. To all my Muslim brothers and sisters, there was a man called Willie Lynch. And they brought him from the West Indies to teach white slave owners how to make a slave, how to break an African down to make them an obedient slave, to make them a productive part of your business enterprise. Well, I got news for you. I don't know who or what, if you will. I don't know who or what came here to the United States, but I believe somewhere, someplace, someone did the same thing for Muslims. How to break a Muslim. How to make a good American Muslim. And I believe they were successful because the narrative has changed, people. The African American Muslim experience is important to you because if you take it out just like the African American experience, period, this society will crash on itself. It can't stand on its own narrative. And the lie that a lot of us have to deal with and a lot of people perpetuate is the fact that they believe that the enemy, these people, are fighting with fighting a moral war, fighting a financial war, fighting a spiritual war. They're not. They're just fighting a war. Why are we making the difference? Why are we delineating about how we protect ourselves? If you start thinking about it, hey, my immigrant brothers and sisters, I'm going to be honest with you. I love you, but let's get facts straight. Let's never, ever, ever BS ourselves. Your ethic is not what got you here to the United States. It's not. Your ethic is not what got you here to the United States. Your ethic is what kept you in the United States. And that's all well and good, but don't get it twisted. Don't come in a situation, forget that the ethic of the African-American Muslim and the African-American individual has provided for the space for you to succeed. Thus, now we deal with a situation where people literally have meetings about how to best support our black brothers and sisters. Hell, you damn near don't even support black Muslims. My point is, stop the games. Stop playing. You saw that house burning, you didn't want to come in. You know why? You're afraid not only that you would get burnt, you're afraid that you'll be seen going into the house, associating with these people, giving a damn, wanting to save human life. I always hear the thing about, oh, if you save one life, it's like saving humanity. Well, damn, save one life then. This can't continue. This madness. This is like a fire sale. This is worse than looting. I would be absolutely appalled. And I'm going to say something to black folk too. Black folks and black Muslims. Damn it, you better wake up. You better wake up, because you can't sit here and say this is all right. It's not all right. You've been taking a beating from the world since you came out of the womb. And we keep making excuses and excuses and excuses. If I hear one more time somebody talk to me about racism under the auspices of Bilal from back in the time of the prophet, in the prophet's last sermon, when somebody goes, no white is better than the black, no Arab is better than the black, he wasn't talking about racism. Brothers and sisters, he was talking about you. On his deathbed, he's telling you, this is what I'm seeing. And I don't care what you care. I don't care where you come from, what you believe. My station here as an African American makes me and my mother and my grandmother and my great grandparents authorities. Because damn it, guess what? Our ethic not only kept us here, it allowed for everybody else. Our ethic allowed us to exist without permission, exist without legal protection, exist without financial understanding. Damn it, we've been doing magic for years. Poof, and you just show up. Now, this ain't for all the Muslims, and this ain't all for all my immigrant brothers and sisters, but damn it, I had some experiences. Now, I'm not going to bring them all to bear right now, but some of you ought to be ashamed of yourselves. Some of you, when I came around to do Allah Made Me Funny, you made me feel like a redheaded stepchild. You told me that entertainment was evil. 3 years later, you pat me on the back talking about, I got to get you to my masjid for a fundraiser. No, tell me it's evil now when I can't make you no money. What am I saying? I'm saying I don't like blackface. Blackface. I don't like it. It offends me. Because when you do blackface, you ain't fooling me. You're making that white man happy. And you do blackface all the time. Why ain't you come in the house? Because you know what? Black people have a unique, very unique skill set for survival. The problem is we want everybody else to survive at the expense of our own survival at some point in time. And we want to be loved internationally and nationally, and we want to be there for our brothers and sisters, but hey, man, you're going to call it what it is. See, that blackface game is an evil game. Pardon my language. The blackface game is a pimp hoe game. Let me say it again. It's a pimp hoe game. And everybody knows the pimp hoe game. What's the slogan? People act funny for the money and strange for the change. Well, I ain't got to worry about acting funny for the money and strange for the change. And most of the time, my people ain't have no money. We didn't have the social currency to go to the best universities. Some of the people going to school at the best university. Hell, we fighting to go to the worst schools with white folk. Some of you going to preach, you a little hard on it. I ain't hard. You don't understand your facts. Do I need to roll out more information? Would you like to look at some more blackface? White folk talking about black? Because I'm going to talk about you white folks too. See, right now it's safe for you to come out and support black people because the man realizes I got to make some kind of capitulation to these black folk because if they really are intelligent and articulate, guess what's going to happen? We ain't going to deal with you no more. I would tell everybody just as an exercise, I want you to be the existentialist comedian. When you go to the show, don't worry about whether the people laugh. Don't worry about whether they have a good experience. Don't worry about whether they want to bring you back again. Take the money and leave and end the relationship. You don't need them. You don't want them. It's purely about business. And I've heard that and I'm asked you a long time. It's purely about business. Is it purely about business? Or did you fold? Or did you give in to the way? See, a lot of our brothers and sisters, and I know this sounds bad, you put on blackface, you don't even know you put on blackface. Here's how the trick goes for a lot of you. A lot of people. Some folks don't know, some want to bring it up. Some folks don't know. See, when the man gets you here, I'm going to give some shout outs real quick. Yes, I will talk about Sister Sarah. Yes. Sister Layla, I have to give my shout outs. I know my brother JT is coming on. But I'm going to tell y'all something. See, when people come to the United States, I know how the white man works. I've been in this system. I've taught in his classrooms, and I've been subject to being fired from jobs from teaching children because I said, wait a minute, we ain't going to teach them the life skills? We're just going to house them here? We just supposed to be babysitters? I dared to educate the toughest children. And the threat was that they would become the toughest children, but they become the most intelligent children. It was a threat. So if you really, really, really want to know what it is, the game, it's Brother Altaf. Thank you, brother. Yeah, well, you know what? Iblis was the first one, but sometimes we can't all give it on Iblis. We have free will, but I'm going to acknowledge you. You see, in the old game, back in the 70s and 80s, early 80s, when my immigrant brothers and sisters came here, there was a very, 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 very coordinated effort to make sure that we didn't intermingle. Like, we didn't get together. Like, the Friday prayer was where we got together, but that was almost compulsory. So you're forced into that situation. Then what happens is get a little money and you go, well, we don't like the way that masjid operates or the way that imam goes. He's not a trained imam. He's not a skilled imam. You know what he was? He was an everyday, ordinary man. He gave that money out of his pocket from his job. Our imams in the WD Muhammad community, they got jobs. We didn't have opportunities to go to school to be full-time scholars. I'm sorry, it didn't happen. Some of your favorite African-American scholars will tell you, I had a job. We had to get to a certain point in time. I know Imam Zayd was in the armed services. So his wife. I mean, you don't know these things, folks. But the killer part of it is, and check the game out. I said it's a pimp hoe game. Check the game out. Because what happens is the pimp figures out the hoe, then the hoe comes into the community to be the pimp. So what they used to tell you, hey, when you talk to these black people, you know what? Both of you from different countries, what do they say? Make your religious knowledge the thing that separates you or give you superiority. Not understanding that African Americans have made it to 1975 under the most extreme conditions, had developed a religion that developed not only community, but family and business, and gave them a separate identity away from this oppressive society that told them, we don't need your oppressive society. We can win without you. And this brother comes and the first thing he wants to tell me is, And this is my own experience. I'm trying to pray and talk to God because I got things on my mind. My man hits my shoulder and goes, your pants should be rolled up. Really? Really? That's a Muslim in blackface. Brother, no, I don't know. And let it be said, folks. For my brothers and sisters, I'm not saying you're getting on the bandwagon. But if you're going to come around me and some of the folks I know, damn it, you better do your homework. Understand the history of what it is. This is not a new phenomenon. We've been trying to get here to a certain point. The death of one black man, God rest his soul, George Floyd, is not the reason why we're here. In the words of that old song, we're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And there's a change coming. Because I mentioned the fact that African American people have to make a choice about separating from these unhealthy things. Well, doggone it, African American Muslims are going to have to figure out if they need to separate from these unhealthy things. Because we have unhealthy relationships with some of our immigrant communities, and I don't know why. It's just that it's comfortable. It's comfortable. When I say comfortable, it means that somebody's benefiting. I'm not going to let it go, folks. You guys look at me like, listen, I'm going to tell you something. One brother said, why are you doing this? I'm going to tell you why, because I'm a comedian. I'm not a clown. I'm the most deadliest person you can put up in front of a microphone or a TV or computer. I've been born to do this. I won't let it go. And all you Muslims in blackface, I'm coming for you. Whether you're with these little organizations, because I'm going to tell you something about some of our Muslim charity organizations. I love you, but some of y'all cold-blooded. Because I looked at what happened during COVID. We couldn't get money for Pakistan. We're going to get money for COVID relief and da-da-da. It's like, I'm just waiting for the campaign that goes, oh my gosh, George Floyd is a tragedy. Make sure we never have another George Floyd again. What you need to do, black people, is invest in a well in Pakistan. I ain't never been to Pakistan. Been to Cleveland, been to Houston. Ain't nobody making any wells there. Anybody invested in school? Anybody say, you know what? You need a hospital. It hasn't happened yet. And for all these charities, I'm going to tell you something. You're going to have to put up or shut up with me. Because the game's up. I'm not going to let it go. All you people that love black folks so much now, you got a directive, you got a list, and does it come with directions? Huh? Love black people, turn the cog in the back of the black person, let them walk, and then, oh, that's so cute. Man, we ain't machines, we ain't toys. I'm insulted. You got to figure out a black man has to die in broad daylight for you to talk about the solidarity of black people, and you got to it should be in the cookbox. No, it shouldn't be in the cookbox. It should have been in your heart. Shame on you. Because I'm going to tell y'all something. I don't need you. I come out of school of Honorable Elijah Muhammad, W.D. Muhammad, Malcolm X, Dick Gregory. I can keep going. H. Wright Brown, Stokely Carmichael. I can keep going. You know why? Because I don't need you. My teachers told me about blackface. This ain't a blackface. This is a serious face. And I got my eye on y'all. So, whatever it is, y'all have a good Friday. For all you people in blackface, ain't nobody make you put it on. Remember that. See, back in the day, the comedians had to put it on because that's the only way they could talk to white audiences, by denigrating themselves. You over here because it looks nice to be with the black people because they with the black people. Now we ain't on the same team. Because I'm going to tell you something. When all this dies away, I'm going to do an assessment. I'm going to do an inventory. How many people really rolling with black folk and black Muslims? I'm going to ask you. I'm going to do a metric. I'm going to say, how many times you been in a black neighborhood before? I dealt with a man that talked about black this, black that, da-da-da-da-da. And I found out at a dinner at a man's house, he had never eaten at the table of a black man, and he was damn near 30. Can't keep going on, folks. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm already separating. Because I'm not feeling, I'm going to let you know. And we can't get it in. Imam Khalees, that's Imam Khalees, not Khalees Rashad, that's Imam Khalees. It's my sister Layla. I'm going to tell y'all something. Sis, thank you very much. Let's do some internal reflection. How many people have you invited? Plenty. I know I've invited people who weren't black to my house. And this might even get me in the paradise. I ate their food. So here, I'm gonna let this go on this note. Before you come around black people, and specifically before you come around black Muslims, I want you to know that we're gonna have a checklist for you. I'm gonna look everywhere you've been. I'm gonna look everything you said. And you're not gonna be invited to the black party, if you will, the black relevance party, if you will. I don't want you to feel safe around me because you think it's safe to be around me. You don't know my experience. You don't know what I'm going through. You don't even care until a situation arose. In Houston, 60,000 people showed up. How many people knew George Floyd personally? You're reacting. You're emotional. You're not strategic. I want to see you come around when there's no cost of business, when there's nothing to be gained. So here, I'm going to say something. All right, sister, I got you. I apologize, yes. The people watching, yes, she's right. My point to all of you is we have to be willing to make that change. And you know what, black folk, you got to be a little bit more selective. Because let me give you a little history about black folk stepping back and separating. Because it sounds so radical. Black folks separate. Yeah, because you got to think about your surroundings. You have to assess who the people are you're dealing with. You know, where's your understanding of environment coming from? It ain't coming from the school system. Schools are failing. No, the school system's failing. Usually indicative of a lot of teachers failing. That's the way it works, folks. The community is failing. That's the way it works, folks. Someone said, Preacher Moss, you're a racist. You talking about segregation. I didn't say segregation. I said separation. And my point is, guess what? America separated from a black man a long time ago when they couldn't own him. And it still hasn't come back to, it still hasn't rectified itself yet. And that relationship is where we are right now. So when you see somebody on the ground getting choked out, that's America dealing with the fact that we've separated. We don't know these people. We can treat them any old way. So I'm getting right out of here. Listen, thank you very much, brother. I'm not here to give you a hard time. I love my immigrant brothers and sisters, but I ain't no sucker. I'm no sucker. So it might cost me something down the road, but damn it, it cost me something. I ain't no punk. As the man Warped Muhammad told me, he said, this ain't a religion for punks or sissies. And it has nothing to do with gender reference. Talking about, are you with it or you're not with it? So listen, I'm going to go. I hope this is beneficial to you. It's hard to relate. My age is 53 years old. It's hard to relate 53 years old dealing with depression in a half hour. Just like I told that story yesterday that I wrote about a young black woman and her child walking down a dark road down south, and they see a man hanging from a tree, and the little boy that's not cognizant of that kind of evil, that kind of nasty intent, that kind of corruption. He goes, Mommy, what's that black man hanging from the tree? What's he doing? She said, baby, he's a flag. Ain't no flags anymore. That's a black man. That's our brother. Have a good weekend.